talk innovation. We talked a lot about that. The new economy is different, but it's the same. We have to build with our natural resources. We have to take what we do well, and we have to go beyond that. But it's going to be a knowledge-based economy. It's global. I get so bemused when everybody starts talking about Maine and how we have just ruined everything here. And I look around, wait a minute, there was Turkey and Greece and all these countries around the globe were having trouble. My nephew, who worked in the textile mill, he's in his 50s. That textile mill, which used to be in Maine, went to South Carolina, and he got a pink slip on December 31st. You know why? It went to China. It is owned by Brazil. So how do we compete in a global economy? I'm going to tell you how. Does any of you have on sneakers with a design on them?
New Balance.
New Balance, I'll come back to. They're growing, by the way. I need a Nike sneaker that has sort of a hard toe. Anybody got that? Well, if you don't, it doesn't matter. I'm going to pass this around, but I'd love to have it back. This was made on a 100-year-old paper machine in Westbrook, Maine. Now, they have water power, so their power is cheaper. They have excess power. They sell it into the grid. They have fewer workers, but they're all using computers. They're not just lifting and lugging as maybe they have done in the past. And this pulp comes from Sappi up in Skowhegan. They ship it down to Westbrook. And if you want to design on something, I don't know if there's a design on that table, think of the dashboard of your car, think of anything that has a design. You pick it out, they have it, and then they put some material over it, and then it becomes part of a soccer ball, part of those sneakers I was telling you about, and I even saw a $1,000 Gucci jacket. But here's the next thing. This is a metaphor for our future, okay? Older machinery, great Maine workers, cheaper power, innovation. They have a staff of about 60 people who are doing R&D every day because they're saying, what's next? And one of the what's next they talked to us about was, maybe with all those problems with Toyota, and I did drive over here in one of those, and the dashboards on our cars are made in Colombia, South America. Maybe we could make those. Now, they did not share their secrets with me about where they're going next. The point is, innovate or die. There's a man named Doug Hall. He's from Ohio, Iowa, I forget which one, but the point is he's a graduate of Oregon, family's roots up there, and he invented this thing called Eureka Ranch. And he was trying to encourage young people to come up with ideas that they could take to market. And how many of you have ever thought there ought to be a way of doing this? But you've got to be able to get that to market. So he encourages entrepreneurship. In fact, there's a program in Oregon for young entrepreneurs. I went to a discussion with him with Maine business people, and he offered to teach them new ways to innovate. I saw him later at a hockey game, and he said, I'm a little discouraged because too many of the business people in Maine are whining, and they don't quite get what I'm talking about, but he didn't quit. He said, I'm going to take a few and give them some hands-on examples of how they can innovate and move forward. We have a lot going for us. You talk about health care, so I've got to put that in there. These barriers, it is not taxes. We're dealing with the tax issue. It's a lack of young people who are trained in the right professions. The state has worked carefully with businesses, but as you know, the state doesn't make the job you wouldn't want it to. The state is a partner with businesses by providing the right tax incentives and credits, and we have to evaluate those to see which ones work and the ones that don't work we get rid of. Remember when MBNA was in Rockland? You know why they were there? The man, the CEO, loved to sail off the coast of Maine. He could have been anywhere. So he came to Rockland, Maine, built this empire of beautiful buildings, and you've been down there, but all of a sudden things went south for the credit card people, and he's gone. But that wasn't the end of it. Boston Financial chose to come to Maine. I went to the ribbon cutting, and the CEO of Boston Financial's remarks, I could have gone anywhere in the world. Now, these are beautiful buildings right here on the coast, but I can build beautiful buildings. We have plenty of money. But he needed well-trained people. And he needed people who, this was not just calling up complaining about anything. These were people who had to have some knowledge of financial instruments, from bonds to annuities or whatever else. They had to have some knowledge, and they needed some training. The but-for piece in that equation was a $500,000 training grant from the state of Maine. The education piece that helped the people in Rockland, Maine, who had been all laid off, to go back to work, and now they're working today. We were talking a little bit about the fishermen. You asked about Bumblebee. Bumblebee didn't close because of anything Maine did, or energy, or anything else. We have a shortage of herring, and it's called supply and demand. The lobstermen pay more than the people don't eat sardines. Do you eat sardines, any of you? Okay, they're good. My father ate a can every day, I think. But I'm just saying, their market share was slipping. And then the federal government, and people always mix this up, so please don't. I have no ability to change a federal regulation other than the bully pulpit and begging and pleading. But they put new quotas on herring, and the argument is that they didn't have enough evidence to make that ruling. And sometimes I think politics is an evidence-free zone. I hate that. We need to have facts for making our decisions. That's one of the arguments. But while they're getting that sorted out, that industry, which was the last sardine cannery anyway, they're now looking to do some of your other ideas. Maybe they can process salmon there or something else. And there is a processing plant in Whiting, which is nearby. But there's sometimes you can't stop the slide of a certain business, but you can help others come in with financing, with being creative and marketing and all those other things. But what I also wanted to mention, the lobstermen this past year. The economy touches everybody. Bountiful catch, bountiful. But the prices were so low that lobstermen are really struggling. But I want to tell you a marketing story, then I'll come back to something I learned at the Fisherman's Forum. Two young men who were sons of lobstermen went down to Boston. They got a marketing degree, and they didn't really want to go back on the lobster boat. So they came up with a very clever idea, and I think they're making money if they're still at the business. But what they did was they found out there are people in California and Colorado who think Maine lobsters just look the best. And they're willing to pay a premium for that. And so if you buy a lobster from them, on the web, by the way, which also allows things to work in rural western Maine here, as well as anywhere you go in the state of Maine. You can order your lobster from them, and when it arrives at your house in California that night, the lobstermen who participate have to agree to get on the phone, and they take pictures of how they caught your lobster, and they'll call up and say, "Hi, it's Captain John. How's your lobster? I caught it out here in the Gulf of Maine today, and weather's good." And people pay for that. Just like they pay for our whoopie pies. And, I mean, all of these things have a giant market value all over the country. Maine is so special. You can't lose that. You can't lose that. So, but anyway, the lobstermen, going back to the fisherman forum that I attended, not to be outdone, to survive, they formed a co-op. So down in Port Clyde, go around the state, this is a fabulous place. They got together and they're selling fresh fish off the market to restaurants and to local people, and they are doing better. So we have to use our ingenuity as Maine people. That's what we've always done, and that's the only thing that's going to work.